This is the regular meeting of the Community Preservation Committee. It's being held in the Don B. Griffin Room, Harwich Town Hall, 732 Main Street, Harwich, Mass. 02645, Thursday, December 4th, 2025. Are there any public comment? Hearing none, moving on. Welcome guests. Can we get approval for the minutes of November 13th, 2025? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving forward, new business, 2025-2026 project presentations. We will start with recreation ball fields, irrigation replacement project. Eric, you have the floor, but please identify yourself anyway.
Yep, sure. Hi, everybody. Eric Beebe, Recreation Director. Been here a few times before in the past. This year's request is for funding in the amount of $350,000 for brand-new irrigation systems at 3 separate fields, including Veterans Memorial Field Complex, which is the fields behind the community center, Potter's Softball Field, and Senior Memorial Softball Field, which are the 2 that are located behind White House Field. All 3 systems are failing to the point where the upkeep, the labor, the manpower, the parts is becoming too much. They're at the end of their useful life, all 3 of them. We did go out and get the quotes on all 3, economy of scale, getting it all done at once. They do need to be done. These fields are very important to the rec department and the town. The fields out back specifically we use for tons of our rec programming because it's right out the back door. Our after-school program, our summer camp, all kinds of soccer leagues. We have all kinds of tournaments there. There's private bookings for lacrosse tournaments, rugby tournaments, lots of special events. It's always in use. The high school uses it for some freshman baseball, and they've used it for JV softball. As far as the 2 softball fields behind White House, one is used for the Monomoy varsity girls softball team. They're both used extensively by the senior softball league in town. So those get heavy use throughout the spring, summer, and fall months. So the new systems are going to be all commercial systems and they have a high density piping is what we're asking for, which does increase the price a little bit. But this was recommended by the highway department and some of our irrigation guys because this type of piping will last 3 times as long as the others. Much less maintenance. It's harder pipes, so we'll have less breaks, less issues overall. The systems that we want to put in would require a lot less maintenance than we currently have on what we have now. We have put into those 3 fields combined just through CPC monies over $600,000 into those 3 fields and projects such as fencing, the construction of the fields behind the community center, walking tracks, all kinds of different things that we've done, bathrooms behind the community center. So we see this as protecting our investment. It's a valuable resource for the town. Without irrigation on those fields, it would be very hard to keep them in the conditions that they're in. Playability for the kids and for the adults that are out there now. So we feel this is a valuable request for this year. We did our request for $350,000. We doubled our contingency request on this one. We'll be happy to return any money that's not used. We're trying to still get some new numbers, but we anticipate a lot of flux in the cost of irrigation, piping, and equipment in the next year or so. The way the timing works with these, as you all well know, is, we meet with you now, there's town meeting, July 1st is funding. We can't do a project like this in the middle of the summer, so it would be next fall. So we're talking almost a year out. So we want to make sure that we're well within any fluctuations in cost. So that's our project. It's pretty straightforward for these 3 fields, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Eric. We'll open it up.
Yes. It jumped out to me. Well, you didn't line item the contingency.
Yep.
But I put 2 and 2 together and figured that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, yep.
obviously, the piping is the heart of the system, obviously.
Sure,
And is that all subject to tariffs?
I believe it
Are we getting all our
is.
piping from the country we don't want to talk about?
We were just talking about that, me and Jared were just talking. You can come on up, Jared.
How you doing? Jared Hopkins, Harwich Parks Department. So, yeah, the piping, I don't know what's gonna happen with the economy, and hopefully it doesn't go up
Yeah,
much, but if it does, we'd like to have a window.
But does it all come from offshore?
High-density piping, I would assume comes from another country, but I'm not sure.
It depends on who, what companies get the bid, where they get their piping from, that kind of
Okay,
thing.
well,
Yeah.
it's
I know a lot of irrigation heads are built in Mexico, but I'm not sure who originates with the piping.
the piping, yeah.
And we're erring on the side of caution with our
Well,
numbers here.
it's a valuable concern.
Yeah,
And the other one thing, I won't dwell on it, was the fact that you have a quote here or a estimate, and the quote is only good for 10 days? What kind of world are we living in?
I'm not sure why it's only a 10-day quote. Once the bids are put out and a contract is signed, they're required to hold it for, usually 3 to 6 months, depending. That shows you how much flux there really is in these costs.
Okay. You answered all your questions in your presentation,
Okay.
and
Thank you.
thank you very much.
All set up. Marcy,
I don't have any questions at
Okay.
this time. Thank you.
Emily,
My main question was about the contingency, which is about 50% of.
Yeah, it is about 50. We usually go 20 to 25. But we don't want to have to come to you guys 3 times for the same project when the prices go up and up and up. So we're shooting very high, hoping to be able to turn back a lot of money. If it does, between now and town meeting, if we do get some more hard numbers that we could pare down a little more, we obviously would. But as of right now, with what we have, we just want to be comfortable that we have that wiggle room.
Totally understand that. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about, like, they don't use it, that money's tied up for 2 years, so have we had an instance where we've had that much? I know,
Rescinded.
you just told me typically you do 25%, but have there been other projects where we've had that breadth of contingency?
not that I recall.
No, this is uncharted territory.
Okay, John,
Yeah, actually, the number is 66.7%. It's like triple your normal
Yep.
contingency. I guess I have the same questions. Is that, seems a little excessive.
Well, you
Like,
could- I mean-
and as Emily said, that's basically tying up money that could be used elsewhere. So I think,
And you could certainly vote on a different number, I believe, if that was the board's choosing. But that's,
we
what we,
can reduce that.
yep,
We
okay,
have that ability.
right,
We just can increase it.
got it.
John? All
That's
set?
it. Yeah,
Thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, what product is the high-density piping made of?
It's it's a plastic type, but it's much harder than PVC. PVC, the irrigation game has evolved into this high-density pipe. It's fused together rather than glued. So they last 3 times the life of PVC. So even though it's a little more money, I would say it's about 25% more. You get 3 times the life. 60 years is what I was told,
That's the life expectancy of the system?
of the
Of
new
the
piping.
new piping?
I mean, we'll
Maybe
also have to
heads.
change heads and
Right.
valves will go and stuff like that, but the piping, this is what Cranberry Valley has gone. All their main lines are now high-density fused pipe, and we're trying to go the same route as the,
And any sort of advancements in heads and stuff like that will certainly be accommodated with this high-density piping? It'll be.
well, we'll,
interchangeable with it.
yeah, we'll have heads and they break as we go and we'll upgrade if we can, as we go, but
But we won't be restricted to one type of head for that pipe, like say 30 years down the road, if
Oh,
we still have
no.
that piping, we can get
No,
a newer.
because the piping just brings the water to, you know, where,
Yeah.
to the zone where the heads will then, there's a lateral line that comes off the
Main line.
main line. And then I could put cheap heads there, expensive heads there.
Well, does this include like the electrical work? Because last year, or
Yes.
2 years ago, you came for us because of the
Yep.
electrical failure of the system that needed to be upgraded.
And we did,
Now it's a
yeah.
whole system, so,
Well, we rescinded that money because we did touch base with Jared and Brian, and they recommended that we return that because there's no point, we do need a new irrigation system. For us to install the electric and then have this irrigation system ripped out and a new one put in, it's better to just do it all at once. So this does include the electric system
does, yeah.
as well.
and I would imagine that the life expectancy of the electric system is a little different from the life expectancy of the piping.
I think
mean,
the pipe is probably
The
gonna
pipe will last
the
longer
longest.
than the electric.
Yeah,
okay.
But this system is a decoder system where I don't have to run a wire all, you know, all the way across the field to get to a zone. I could actually decode from from the time clock and then go out to the zone. So it's a new system that we use at White House, and it works well, and we have minimal downtime.
Okay, and then if this is not sort of, say everything goes according to plan and it gets started next fall of 2026, are the existing fields gonna make it next summer, next season?
So I will try to keep them going as I have. There's always the threat of something going wrong, and that would be it. That's why I'd rather
it's a lot of
get this
patchwork.
done while we can anticipate, you know, not, if it breaks, things could go wrong, and I might have to shut the system down completely. These systems are different than home systems, you know. They run off a well, and the well turns on, and the problem with the electrical is if those heads don't turn on, that well will push all that water into the system and shatter somewhere. And then you got a big hole with 80 gallons a minute going through it. And it sends sediment through the remaining lines, which could just, I'll be spending months trying to figure out how to
This does
clean
not
that up.
include wells, by the way. The
Yeah,
wells
we're
are in
gonna-
good shape.
We're gonna stick with the existing well. I don't see a problem. It seems to be working fine to me, so I might as well run with it.
Yep.
Okay,
But the piping is the issue, yeah.
all right, that's it.
Do you have a schematic?
You know I
For all
do.
fields?
I have one of the community center. I didn't bring it with me. So this, if you were to look at the community center, it's actually an enclosed system, which is odd. So there's pipes that go all the way around that entire field, like a circle. And then in between are the lateral lines. But most athletic fields have straight shot lines. This one was designed low bid, you know, and it's more like a home.
It's almost a residential
So
system. Yeah.
you got branches, you got tees. It's almost like a maze,
It gets really complicated when we have events with tents,
yeah.
marking out the lines.
So that's another thing, what I'll do is when we have this ground opened up for the new pipe, I'm gonna put a tracer line in so I can paint the lines so no more tents, stakes will go through.
You'll know exactly.
I'll know
yeah.
exactly where they are, because it's a guessing game right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I paint as best I can, but, you know, we got lucky. Well, actually, the past 2 years, we've had 2 strikes.
Yeah.
The hooker's ball got me.
Yeah, that one in the circle.
It's all right, I fixed it the next day, but, you know.
So we're just, you know, they're trying to stay ahead of every little thing that comes up over and over and over. So hopefully we can get through one more season with Jared's patchwork as we go.
Yeah, I'll patch it as best I can and try to keep the ball rolling, but there's gonna be a day that
It won't work
something's
again,
gonna happen.
yeah.
I'm good.
Thank you, Kathy. Can you email that
The
to me?
schematics?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there one for down below?
Potter and
Plotters,
Sandwich.
no, I don't have one. I could draw one myself. I know the
Where
system
all the
pretty
heads
well.
are?
Yeah. We'll get you something.
Will it be a breakdown of, when you give the material list, will there be a breakdown of what the materials are? How much?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they'll have it
Yeah.
all.
the
Well, we
length,
would need that for
width,
the
et cetera,
specs.
How many heads? et
I
cetera?
also consider the 2 softball fields one one unit, because they run off of one well, and one goes one way, one goes the other, but you can't just run one field at the same time, so it's basically one big system.
You can't do one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do them both.
I mean, you could do, well, no, you do them both, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be the best way, and the best way to do that, and price is gonna go up next year if we wait.
Yeah.
But, this company could probably, I'm hoping that will come in and be able to do all of it in the fall.
Yeah.
Minimal downtime, senior softball won't be upset.
Yeah.
We'll do it after their classic.
Make them
Well, I know how it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that's what we're shooting for, but
Okay, this is off topic, but is there anything that needs to be done at Brooks Park?
as it needs to be,
Upgraded the irrigation system?
the irrigation system at Brooks Park
So
is,
in other words, are you guys gonna be coming back at some point in time saying, we need money to do?
well, they say every 20 years to do these systems. I'll have to figure out how long that one's been, but I've had minimal
Issues.
problems with that one. That field, I usually don't have to worry about. The community center field, when I come in at 5:45, I go to the community center field. If I see the head running, I know that we made it through the night. And, because one of these days, if it's not running, I get a little panicky, because something went wrong, and that means 80 gallons a minute's going somewhere, and sediment's going the other way,
Yeah.
you know?
Keep that panic on.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, so how old is the irrigation system at the, the field right at the corner of, Main and, the Little League field or whatever field it is?
The Brooks Park field?
Yeah.
That's got to be over 20 years.
It's, I'm not sure, I'll have to ask Brian when he,
Do
That's
turf
it,
in
that's
there?
the infield. Just,
Okay.
just the infield's
Okay.
being replaced. Yeah, so
Does the
that's
infield
separate.
get watered?
That doesn't have irrigation in it.
the irrigation has water, oh yeah, there's,
In the grass part?
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But those heads are still there, that whole system's still there, and they're gonna grade to where that
Around
is.
it.
And we'll move, we can move heads. Heads are on a pivoting arm, so you can move them up, down, left, right, within reason of a couple feet.
I just don't want our investment of,
Oh, like having to tear up the infield? No, no, no.
Oh,
Like
God.
Jared said, that irrigation, it's a good call.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't wanna do that either,
Yeah,
definitely don't.
okay,
No, definitely not.
all right.
Okay, is there anything else from any of the other board members? All set, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night, Phyllis.
You too.
Okay, next. CH3, Chatham Meeting House Road Project. Welcome. Could you folks identify yourselves, please?
Yes, for the record, I am Brio Sacchetti with Penrose. I'm joined by Joe Gaddy, also with Penrose. The developer of these two proposed projects in front of you.
So do you want to address them one at a time for our convenience?
I figured we'd start with Main Street and then go through just the parts of
You've
Meeting
got the
House.
floor.
There you go. Hi, everyone. So before we dive into sort of the details of our proposed development at 1533 Main Street in Chatham, I want to sort of set the table a little bit with why we're here presenting to you today. So some of you are probably familiar, but Penrose, we're a national developer of affordable housing and mixed income housing. And our Boston-based team that Rio and I sit on, we've started to build a critical mass of affordable housing developments on the Cape and just off of it. Nearly a decade ago, Penrose completed 65 units of affordable housing in Eastham. There's a map on slide 5 here that I'm sort of referring to. 65 units of affordable housing in Eastham, and within the last 6 months or so, another 62 units in Orleans, and then 93 units just off the Cape in Wareham. And we also have, as I'm sure many of you are aware, a project in the works here in Harwich, which will deliver 60 units of mixed income housing to this community. And what we've seen in these experiences, is the way that the folks on the Cape really understand that the housing crisis that we're seeing is a regional problem, and that regional problems require regional solutions. Folks understand that the housing built in, I'm making it up, Wellfleet, not only serves to help the residents and people who live in Wellfleet, but also those who live in Provincetown and Truro and other towns on the Cape. So we've been really grateful in each of our Cape Cod projects that neighboring towns have been willing to support the creation of affordable housing and workforce housing with their CPA funds, both because the new housing helps to address a truly regional need, but also because we think that they hope to receive the same level of support when they turn to working on their own affordable housing projects. So, for example, with our project that just completed and is leasing up in Orleans, we were grateful to receive $2 million from the Orleans CPC, but also contributions from Eastham, from Chatham, from Wellfleet, from Truro, Provincetown, Brewster, and Harwich. And so those contributions not only helped to ensure that the developments were built and to serve the folks that they're intended to serve, but it also sends a really powerful message to the state to show that, one, that we think these projects are impactful and beautiful and blend in, but also that, you know, they are addressing a larger need for other developments on the Cape. So with that, I'll jump into a little bit about our design team. On slide 2, you'll see, sorry, I skipped around a little bit. We've already talked a little bit about Penrose, and I'll provide some more background, but our architect for these 2 projects is Union Studio. They're based in Providence, but they have a lot of experience developing on the Cape and surrounding communities. Our civil engineer is Horsley Witten Group, based on the Cape, and a group we've worked with before. And Crowley Cottrell, based in Boston, is our landscape architect. This team has been working together since July of 2024, when we were originally selected by the town to develop these sites, and they're what Rio and presumably other people call our A-team. So that's what we have here tonight.
It's the all-star team for architects and engineers.
Of course, not us, just the architect. So Penrose, as I mentioned before, is a national developer of affordable housing. Even with this national footprint, though, we have 8 or so regional offices, like the Boston office that Rio and I work in, and we develop communities in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Penrose also has an affiliated management company, Penrose Management Company, that serves as the property manager for a little over 25,000 units, which I think really speaks to, or really helps to support the fact that we build projects to last. We're not a buy, flip, and sell kind of developer. We build these so they last 15, 30, 50 years down the line, and ones that we and the communities can really be proud of. So how did we get here? You'll see on slide 7 here how we got here. We were originally selected in July of 2024 by the town of Chatham to develop these 2 sites, Chatham Main Street and Meeting House Road. And since then, after being selected, we've advanced the design drawings and met with a number of town boards, local groups, community stakeholders to incorporate feedback into our design process and help sort of inform decisions about what people are looking for. You know, for Main Street, the Main Street project, we met with the Community Housing Partnership, the Chatham Historical Commission, the Historic Business District Commission, Select Board, Affordable Housing Trust, and several more. Which all culminated in our application submitting to the Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals in March or April of this past year for a comprehensive permit, all leading up to our tax credit submission for financing to EOHLC next March. So, in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here, and I won't read through all the bullet points I have on the next slide, the development objectives, but we're aiming to provide provide units at a mix of income levels and to serve a wide variety of households, all in the context of a development that embraces the architectural character of Chatham and Cape Cod, preserves open space, is environmentally sustainable, financially feasible, and is operationally resilient in the long term. So on the site plan slide you have in front of you, I think you'll see just that. It's 9 buildings in a village-style development of varying sizes with different typologies, with different number of units almost in every building. They're situated around a central green space with outdoor recreational amenities for residents and kids to play in who live in the community or in the development. The plan also serves to show our landscape plan, and we, I guess when I say we, I mean Crowley Cottrell, did their best to come up with a plan that really aims to save as many of the existing trees on the site as possible. They're, on the site plan, they're labeled with white outlines around the trees. The ones that we're planning to plant ourselves as part of the new development have black outlines. But in addition to the trees we're trying to save, we have a really robust planting and landscape plan with native Cape Cod, drought-resistant plantings, trees, shrubbery. And this is something that was really important to the town and the community as we were going through our design process. At the helm of the site, you'll see labeled as Building 10 on the site plan. There's a management building that will house our property management staff, maintenance staff, storage, and a supportive services coordinator, or as we call CIC, or Community Impact Coordinator. This is someone who will help coordinate resident services and really a role that we think is vital for developments like this. This person will also be split between the meeting house development, so we can sort of share staff with proximity, and also in need service other projects we have on the Cape. Other parts about the site, we have a parking ratio of about 1.3 spaces per unit, which came to us from a lot of community feedback, and we feel adequately serves the site. And there are two entrances and exits onto Main Street with a looped road that our traffic engineer and civil engineer think will facilitate the most efficient and safe flow of traffic throughout the site. On the next few slides, after the site plan, you'll see a breakout of the buildings themselves and a few renderings that show the different typologies, and I won't go through all of them, but what I want to highlight is they're all between 2 and 2.5 stories tall. Each resident will have their own front door. This is something we found is really meaningful to residents. Having a front door into their own space, their own entryway, a place they can call home, I think really makes a difference in developments like this. They'll also have storage sheds. Every unit will have a storage shed appended to the back or side of the building for residents to store anything they'd like. So like I said, the next few slides are renderings that show the view of the property from Main Street with the community or the management building in the center, framed with 2 of the resident buildings on either side. And these renderings really aim to show that we're attempting to embrace this sort of Chatham architectural character, our proposed materials and massing, and what the development will ultimately look like. We also have this aerial view here of what the site will look like, we hope, when it's complete. So moving on to sort of our unit mix here. You'll see this on the second to last slide. We have 16 one-bedroom units, 26 two-bedroom units, and 6 three-bedroom units. And this unit mix was really designed not only to accommodate what the town of Chatham expressed as a priority in terms of a combination of different unit sizes and AMI, or area median income brackets for different residents, but it also aims to align with the state, EOHLC's funding priorities for developments like this. They want to see a wide variety of unit sizes, specifically 65% of them being 2 or 3 bedrooms to accommodate larger households, and at a wide variety of income levels. So in this case, we have units set aside at 30% of AMI that will typically be paired with a rental subsidy, a project-based Section 8 voucher, or MRVP, a state rental subsidy. We have units at 60% of AMI, the largest bulk of those 25 units. And then we have 16 units at 110% of AMI, which was really a request from the town of Chatham to support their workforce population, people with a little higher incomes. The last row on this table has sort of a general income range for people who would qualify for these units. And I think what you'll see is the costs, the income required to live in these units is pretty high. So, you know, it's a lot of people who already live in Chatham will be moving into this because they qualify. On the last slide, we have a sort of tentative breakdown of our sources and uses for this project. A couple things I want to point out here. This is really similar structure to all of our other developments on Cape Cod in terms of uses and an indication of uses for what we think it will take to build this project. We have cost estimates from general contractors who we've worked with a lot and have experience building on the Cape. On the sources side, you'll see between the low-income housing, LIHTC tax credit equity, state tax credit equity, and EOHLC, or the state subordinate financing, it makes up about a little over 25 million in financing for this project, which is the bulk of what we're using here, and is what really drives a lot of the decisions we're making. You know, maybe five or so years ago, you were probably able to develop a project like this with a combination of that state funding and a permanent loan. But really since COVID, we've seen with such a drastic increase in costs that you have to go out and look for more money. There's no way to finance these projects and get the budgets to pencil out with just the traditional financing that you could 5 or 10 years ago. So that's why we're here in front of you today. And we're requesting $100,000 for the Chatham Main Street site and $100,000 for the Meeting House Road site to really bolster or help to support the sources and pay for what we think are going to be really great projects. So maybe I'll stop there. That's all we kind of have for Main Street. I can go into Meeting House, or we can take questions on Main Street specifically. Just let me know what works best for you.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I think the questions are
Question?
the same for both of them.
Oh, Chris, yeah, gotta be.
Have them continue.
Continue? All right, so the Meeting House, the second presentation is the majority of the same slides as the Main Street. If you skip to the site plan, I can just talk to that a little bit and say why it's different here. So Zero Meeting House Road is about 1.5 miles down Route 28 or Main Street from our Main Street property. It's a much trickier site. It's very sloped, 40, 50 feet of topographical change from the bottom of the site to the top. So we're really confined or constrained with the buildable area and how many units we can provide. But the general concepts are the same. You'll see buildings around the perimeter with the same typologies as the Main Street property, sort of a looped road in the middle. You won't see a community green space in the middle. It's if you look to the plan bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a drawing of it's a playground where kids and residents can use to recreate, and it also offers access to what you'll see on the left side of the plan is the rail trail. So it has we have a path going down to that on our property that residents can use for convenient access. The site is also borders right up along the twine fields, a nice community amenity for anyone in Chatham, and this will have a little path going out from the center of our site, so folks can use that. Like Main Street, we have a pretty robust planting plan. There's a lot of trees already on the site, and we'll try to preserve as many of those as we can, but Crowley Cottrell has really come up with a great landscaping design and a way to make this site really beautiful to complement the buildings we already have. Parking ratio is very similar to Main Street, slightly more. We feel that it supports the demand that there'll be for residents who'll have cars on the site. The next couple slides are really the same building typologies. We have renderings that are a little more specific to Meeting House Road. In lieu of a centralized management building like we have on Main Street, which will be much larger, there's a smaller management building on the Meeting House Road site. It's a little white kind of addition to the first rendering you'll see. There's a pergola next to it, and that'll house a property manager, and there'll be maintenance and storage space also appended on either side of that building. But the idea is really that the properties will complement each other. So the property manager could work at both sites. They'll both be staffed individually, but there'll be shared efficiencies between the two. In terms of the unit mix for the Meeting House Road property, like I said, we're a little bit constrained with the topographical challenges of the site, so there are fewer units, only 42 here as opposed to the 48 on Main Street. But it's really the same breakup that I talked about earlier, sort of balancing what the town's looking for in terms of unit sizes and affordability, mixed with what the state prioritizes for funding projects like this. So you'll see 30, 60, and 100% AMI units. This is just to provide a little more diversity and affordability than the Main Street site as for 100 versus 110. And the income ranges for those units are the same or relatively the same. Sources and uses, substantially similar. Light tax credit equity, state tax credit equity, subordinate financing, other soft grants, loans that we're using to pay for this development, including a similar request as the Main Street property of $100,000. So that's kind of a quick spin through the Meeting House Road site, but they're both pretty similar. So happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Open it up to the board. Emily?
Sure. One first question, this is all for you, but curious, I see there's a lot of open space in the Main Street, like kind of play space and such. Is there, it doesn't look like there's as much in the Meeting House. So I see a notation for play surfacing, is that playground, what,
Place surfacing on the
Meeting House?
Meeting House? Yeah, so the Meeting House site, it'd be easier if we had a picture from the street, but it's like a enormous sloped hill all the way up. So even to get this site plan that we have here requires a lot of regrading and leveling of the site, and it's a much tighter area. So we don't have as much room for a nice big open green that we have on the Main Street site. But to supplement that, or in lieu of that, we have in the bottom left this playground and access to the twine fields, which we think with its convenient enough access, you can sort of, it serves the same purpose.
The twine field is this big open field that's town conservation land. They call it the twine field because it's where the fishermen would put out their nets to dry. And so that sort of becomes like a neighboring large park that we could take advantage of here, which is really nice.
And I think there are a lot of that can play and whatnot. Okay, just checking. Great.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Fantastic, thanks for answering that. And then in terms of timeline, what is the timeline like for both of these projects?
Yeah, so for Main Street, we're planning to submit a tax credit application for the majority of those sources you saw in March of 2026. Those awards of tax credits would come out in June or July, over the summer. And we would take about 6 or 8 months to get to a financial closing and begin construction. So looking like early 2027 when we break ground. 16-ish month construction timeline. So that's early to mid 2028. We'd complete, and lease up would happen in the 6 months after that. Meeting House Road would follow the same general outline, just 1 year later, because there's confines on how many projects we can apply to the state.
Kathy?
Oh, okay. Could you tell us what sort of an average rent would be for like a 60% AMI and 100% AMI?
Sure. So 60% AMI for a 1-bedroom, for example, would be around $1,350 a month. That's $1,350 to $1,400. $1,650 for a 2-bedroom, and for a 3-bedroom, closer to $1,800. These are sort of a moving target. They change every year. Is there a range? HUD resets them every single year, but as of now, this is what they would be.
Okay, and then
if
how
we were
about for the
underwriting
100% AMI?
100% AMI, looking at around $2,500 for a 1-bedroom, $3,000 for a 2-bedroom, and slightly above that for a 3-bedroom.
All right, and there's no basements, right?
No basements.
Basements. Is there any solar or any kind of green?
Yeah. Yeah, so we build all of the buildings to be solar ready. It's about I think it takes time for architects to sort of decide where the best place to put the solar panels are. So they're designed in a way that any one roof or location could have them. But as we get closer to when we'd be in construction, that's when we'd sort of identify the best place to put those. In terms of sustainability, Rio probably has a better sense of this, but if you want to.
Yeah, enterprise green communities, DOE, net zero energy homes. It's actually, the current building code is pretty much gets you to those certifications almost anyways. So it's just natural to go there. So they'll be super efficient buildings, all of that, all electric heat pumps. And with the solar, I mean, we do that normally anyways, but I'll just note, in this, for these projects, we're actually required to by the town as well. Through the RFP process, when we were selected and had the land development agreement, they require the solar. I mean, we would do it anyways, but that's, you know, another check. So even though we're just saying it, we can't change our minds. It's going to be there.
I've driven into the Orleans, Cape Cod 5
Fair,
project,
what we
and
call
it
that.
looks good. I mean, at least from the outside, it looks great, you know?
Yeah, we're really happy how it turned out. That's nice to hear.
Yeah, that was great. Parking. What's the standard parking that you sort of have to put in there? It's not 2 spaces per unit.
No, and that's usually what most community zoning usually requires. So the Institute of Traffic Engineers is a big national organization that these folks belong to. They put out studies, and their recent, and I don't know exactly what year, but in the past several years, the recent update of their report as for these type of multifamilies, they say it's usually between 1.2 spaces and 1.8 spaces. So so that's across the country. That's for, 100-unit projects, 20-unit projects, affordable projects, market rate projects. But it's a good general, urban and rural. So it gives a kind of a general that we're in sort of the average across the country. But we have a lot of experience. Like at Village at Nassau Green, we have 1.5 spaces per unit, and all our spaces we're fully leased and the spaces aren't fully used. The affordable housing projects typically don't have as many cars as the market rate ones.
And I can see that when there's public transportation available. We don't really have a ton of public transportation on the Cape,
That's right.
so it's,
So, we have the Village at Nassau Green doesn't have any more additional public transportation than these. So, in our project in Wareham, we're like 1.4, so we're sort of right at those spots. A little less, but, when you look at the ratios, like 1.3 to 1.4, but in actuality, that comes out to like 1 or 2 spaces. And so, and Wareham is also not fully used. So we tend to always find that we overbuild parking. And we usually typically would be around like the 1.5. So we're sort of pushing back on that and trying to do less because we think we need less, and especially on smaller sites like this, if it's the difference between, a couple more units versus a couple more parking spaces, we prefer to have the additional units.
Or green space,
right, well,
I'd say, yeah.
yeah, except that if people don't have a place to park, it's pretty frustrating, so I'm just,
Yes.
that's all.
Yeah, and there's risks there.
Experience has been that you have sufficient parking, then
Yeah.
you've got sufficient parking.
And one of the things we do, we try not to assign parking because that frees stuff up, and because most of the people who live in these communities work. It's not public housing, it's affordable housing. They have to pass credit, background checks, proof of income and stuff. And so they're coming and going, and so you can have less spaces and have it flow and work better if it's unassigned than having assigned, because with assigned, you end up having a lot of empty
Sure.
spaces all the time.
Okay, So, just a quick question about the hard costs. So the acquisition cost, which is like
It's dramatic.
2 million. Was the land, did you have to buy the land, or was the land, given to you by the town? Or leased to you by
so
the
a little
town?
bit of both.
Or some agreement that you have 99 years, blah, blah, blah?
Yes, yeah, so these will be fee purchases and not ground leases. So the land cost is
I'm
actually,
sorry, would you repeat that?
so we're purchasing the site. Some other town properties we develop on end up being like 99-year ground leases
Right.
instead of a purchase, but these will be purchases. The town actually purchased these sites like within the past 5 years. And our purchase price is the same as what the town paid for, which is below market. And in addition to that, the town's actually putting in money. So if you look at the sources and uses here for, let's say, 1533 Main Street, for example. If we look at that sources and uses,
Yep.
you can see the acquisition is $2,090,000.
Yeah,
But there's a seller note of 1.2 million,
okay, so.
and
how
that
does
seller
So
note,
explain that to us. So in other words,
so we're really paying 800,000.
okay, you guys are paying 800,000, okay.
They're loaning that 1.2 million back into the project, essentially.
Okay, so it's just kind of hard for us to kind of understand that since, well, we're not accountants, so.
Yeah, the net cost is 800,000.
Okay, all right, and it's much less on the Main Street one. That was a $500,000 acquisition cost, is that recall?
Yeah, on Meeting House, yeah, there's, the acquisition cost is, the gross acquisition cost is 500,000,
Right,
net 300,000 after
okay,
their seller note
Okay.
of 200,000.
Why is there such a discrepancy?
The Meeting House site is really difficult to build, because there's that steep slope, we call kind of a ravine. You basically have to build a land bridge to
Bargain
get to the
basement
buildable
sale.
site, yeah. It's not really buildable, it's difficult to build, so that's why the very low land cost.
all right, so quick question, my last question for you is, if you're local, you've read, all the good press and the bad press, about, whether Penrose should be the right developer for these projects. I'm not gonna debate that, obviously Chatham has chosen you, et cetera, et cetera. But, when it comes to us, vetting an application and then going to the taxpayers and saying, we think this is, worth supporting, why wouldn't it be in our best interest just for us to ask the taxpayers to contribute 200,000 towards a Harwich project versus sending it to Chatham? It's gonna go out one way or the other. So what are we gonna,
Possibly.
right, but I'm just saying, so what,
Yeah, understood.
what should we be saying? What's the line that we should be? I mean, before,
Yeah.
when
When you
we
didn't
sup-
have a
when we
project,
supported Orleans,
yeah.
we supported it because we had no brick and mortar going up in Harwich at all,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Now, it's been like at least 4 years or so, and, we've got projects in the works. So why wouldn't we just take that 200,000 and plow it right into the Penrose Harwich project versus putting it someplace else?
Yeah.
It's
And that's the
gonna-
great question. That's the big question, which makes total sense. So the reason to do this, there's really two reasons. This one might not be the best-selling reason, but, that the people, there'll probably be a lot of people who work in your town that will end up living here,
And vice versa.
and vice versa, exactly. The second one is the reciprocal nature of a regional approach. You provided 100,000 to Orleans, and so hopefully Orleans now will be providing 100,000 to the project that we're hoping to develop in Harwich, and now multiply that by all the other towns in the regional approach. Like in Orleans, we ended up getting 700,000 from 7 towns outside of the town we built. So there's the multiplier effect, that 100,000 that you send out and the other towns send out. Now you have a project in your own town, if all those 7 towns reciprocate, you now have a $700,000 investment into your project in your town.
What's the ripple effect if we do not fund, or you do not get the funding from the other towns, including ours? Just like, what
Yeah,
what
that's the
happens?
risk. You know, the risk is that one town decides to do that, and then it ripples, and then every town decides not to do it because the other towns didn't do it. And then it makes off for projects that are less nice because they have to cut back on scope, quality materials in order to get built. And then you know, wouldn't get the contributions into the project in your town, you know, and then the regional approach will kind of breaks down if some people decide to opt out of it. That's the risk.
Mm.
We're hoping that your town is not the town that is the first to do that.
But it's kind of like when you're a parent, you know, your kid comes home from school and they're selling, you know, magazines, and they're selling this and they're selling that, and, you know, after 6 months of the year, you're like, you know, look, I just want to give you some money. You know, I just want to give you like, you know, $50, call it a day, and don't keep coming back to me. You know, so.
Yes. Well, you know, in Orleans, there were some towns, for example, I think, so we had asked for 100,000 from each CPC that we submitted to, out of the 7. Provincetown, Truro, Brewster, Wellfleet, Eastham, Chatham, Harwich. Provincetown only contributed 20,000 because they had a project in their own town, and they said, and they looked at the amount of money they had available to them, so they gave what they can. So, you know, which was understandable. They wanted to contribute something. They didn't have as much funds as the other towns had, you know, to provide to any type of project, and they had their own project. But they still wanted to that contribution because they were still hoping that other towns would help contribute to their project.
I think it's also that message to the state saying there are a lot of towns that care about this project and that it should be funded for the, you know, all the reasons that we obviously know it should be funded, but saying that we have 5 or 6 or 7 towns that have contributed to financing this project makes it a really compelling case for them.
Yeah, actually, when fair, it's rare to get the tax credit and the other state funding awards on your first application, because they're you know, those programs are oversubscribed. There's more projects needing funding than there's funds available. So typically, you know, it might take you 2 or 3 tries, and it's 1 try a year usually. FAIR was funded on the first application, which is a very rare thing. And at the award announcement, the lieutenant governor specifically said, because of this regional approach and looking at all these funds from all these other towns, this one caught our eye and moved up to the top of the list. So there's other benefits. You know, it helps projects move forward, help them move forward faster.
How's that, Ken?
Yep.
Marcy?
Hi, just had some questions. So, in regards to these units, both Chatham and Harwich, are there any ADA units? So you can,
Yes, I don't know the exact count. I think in Main Street, I believe there's 5, and I think on Meeting House there'll be 4. But all the ground floor units, in addition to having fully ADA compliant units, MAAB, the Massachusetts Architectural Board, ones which are a little above typical federal level ADA, we'll have, in addition to those units, I believe all the ground floor units will be with some level of ADA access. They call them visitable. So people with accessibility needs can get in and have everything on the first floor of that unit be accessible.
thank you. And then my other question, so all your projects are all LIHTC? They're all LIHTC
Yes.
projects?
They're all
And
what?
LIHTC, it's low-income housing tax credit? Because Orleans ended up being LIHTC?
Yes.
Because I know there was going back and forth about that one. And then my other question is, are the utilities included in this cost for the rents, or is it a separate?
You wanna-
Yeah, so the utilities will be separately metered, so the residents will pay utilities. But what we do is we get engineered studies of the average typical energy usage and the average bill, and that's subtracted from their rent. So because they're paying for their own utilities, they get a discounted rent that offsets it. And that helps, make sure that the residents have that cost covered, and it also helps provide so that, you don't have windows wide open in the middle of winter with the thermostats up to 100, 70 degrees. So that is usually the typical approach in these type of buildings, not just from Penrose, but most all these developments.
And the rents I quoted to you earlier were gross. They would be lower when we subtract out the utility allowances. Yeah.
Which have to be approved by the state and the local housing authority.
That's significant.
Yeah. Well, with these super efficient buildings, it's a lot different than, heating a older single-family home. Like some of these units, you have like heat bills of $70 a month.
I could use that.
There's no drafts, everything's, yeah, and that's one of the reasons too, these buildings don't have basements, is to get them super efficient, to get past code, above and beyond code. You have them on the slab, and then you have like the plastic wrap and everything to keep any air from getting into the buildings, the foam insulation on the interiors. Basically, the way that they become so efficient is just by being so airtight that outside air doesn't come in. But then you have to bring in air, so it's, you have fresh air to breathe. So you have ERVs, which are air exchange units that take, I don't know, the engineering behind it, but it takes the outside air in and the indoor air out, and takes the heat from the indoor air and brings it to the outdoor air, so you don't have to reheat.
Marcy?
I have more questions. Just
Thank
a
you,
couple
Marcy.
more.
John.
Is there gonna be laundry on site?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Oh, I'm
hear you.
sorry, I have more
You
questions.
got the floor.
Thank you. Is there gonna be laundry on site?
Yeah, all the units will have their own washer and dryer.
And then, so I'm assuming, is this gonna be a lottery type situation? And then the people, say, for example, the people that are residents of Chatham, they'll get preference first before the other?
Yeah, so in Orleans, at Village in Nassau Green, our first cake project, we were able to get, typically the state only allows up to a 70% local preference. And the town has to justify it to the state. So usually, we work with certain members of the town, usually the town planner, other folks at the town, to come up with the justifications to put it to the state for their approval. Ultimately, it's up to the state's approval. But at Village at Nassau Green, we got them to approve greater than 70%, which is the first I think I've ever seen of that. It was 65% local preference, then a 10% regional preference. And that regional preference was for Barnstable County residents. So the preference is the way somebody fits into a preference. They have to live or work or have children in the public school system of that town. And that's what fits you into the preference. In Orleans, and I came here and I had pitched the Orleans project, and we said we would try to get the same thing. But we got something a little different. We got, instead of a 75% total preference, they brought it back down to 70. So we ended up with, I think, like a 66%, 67% local preference and a 3 or 4% regional preference. But they allowed that regional preference to just be for the towns who contributed CPC funds instead of Barnstable County on a whole. So that's what we'll be asking for on these projects, and so we're pretty confident, based on where HLC has seemed to have gone, that they're gonna reduce the preference a little bit, but they're allowing us to just include CPC contributing towns, which is a more of a benefit to the folks, to the towns who do contribute, because that was the concern prior, the towns contribute, and then the preference includes people from towns that didn't contribute. And that ended up not being the case for Orleans, which was great.
All set.
All set, Marcy. Thank you. John?
Yeah, just to focus on the regional CPC approach. Just looking at the funding sources, there's no explicit mention of Chatham CPC funds for either of these projects. The town is funding it otherwise,
That's right.
and is that the reason?
Yes. In fact, what we show as seller notes, that was originally pitched as CBC. And the folks at Chatham said, well, it'd be a lot easier if we just do a seller note, because there's less committees to go through. It doesn't have to go up to a town vote. It just bakes in right from the transaction. So, but we may potentially go back to them, because as we got through the zoning process, they've asked for improvements, and we've added stuff and increased quality of certain materials. So, although we don't show it, I mean, we've had discussions of potentially going back to them for a smaller amount, similar to like 100,000, like we're doing here, because they're already putting in that 1.2 million seller note. But we are looking at submitting, if we haven't already,
We did, yeah.
Okay.
For a small amount, yeah.
Okay, so we already did submit to Chatham.
So, are you pursuing the same regional approach for the Harwich Queen Anne Road location?
Yes. Yep, and we've already
And
applied, and I'm not working on that project, that's
Well, the
Ryan
work- That's kind
Kirikoff.
of getting off topic, because we're supposed to be discussing the applications that are in front of us.
I just want to consider how the funding is working here. And the argument has been made that all of these things get a leg up because of pursuing a regional approach. And I want to understand whether that's happening everywhere. But I will move on. I have other questions.
You've got the floor, John.
So, some of these projects in this town, people are concerned about various areas of impacts, and I'm wondering how that's working for these projects in Chatham. That is, one is traffic, and I'm thinking of Orleans, and Orleans, where that facility is a rather traffic congested area. There's already a lot of cars there. I don't know what that conversation was like in Orleans. I'm wondering if there has been a lot of pushback on traffic for either of these, and whether that's going to be a hurdle or whether that's already been resolved.
It's already been resolved on Main Street, still in so on Main Street, we've already had the ZBA vote to approve the project. The decision hasn't been issued yet, the attorneys are writing it. I think we're expecting it to be issued on Monday and then signed and then filed with town clerk. But yeah, you're going through that zoning process, that was a hot topic. So we had traffic engineers do traffic studies. Then we had them do, and when they do it, they usually use some assumptions, because when we applied in April, we had it ready, but then we had them come down and then do actuals during the peak months in July. Because on Main Street, you're right, on Main Street, in the summer traffic is totally different than it is in January, February. And so the traffic studies came back, and yeah, of course, they add cars. But I think when it came down to it, it was like, and this is actually in front of my head right now, because we just submitted this to the ZBA for Meeting House this week. It was something like it adds 8 seconds to a commuter's commute past this development. peak summer hours. So,
I'm sorry, what's the time amount?
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
I can't-
Okay, all right.
So, which is much easier for people to understand when they hear like, oh, there'll be 80 round trips in this 2-hour period. Okay, what's that 80, because it sounds like a lot, but they said, well, what it comes down to is an average 8-second additional delay in your normal commute. Which, in the summer, you're not gonna notice an 8-second increase, because it's already an hour more than what it usually is. But that's always a hot topic.
So, okay, specifically, I mean, there have already been big and expensive modifications to traffic flow in Chatham near the Main Street. I don't know if that was done, anybody anticipated this development, because when those things happened, but I'm thinking of the intersection of Meeting House Road and Route 28, which has been improved recently, I think, but is part of the conversation, does that involve further road improvements on that intersection? Like another Chatham Rotary, perhaps?
No, that hasn't, so the town hired their own engineer, which is typical, and he ended up agreeing for the most part with our engineer's conclusions that it didn't require infrastructure improvements. Other than, stuff like, maybe like a crosswalk and stuff like that for pedestrians, but no infrastructure improvements to help the flow of traffic because it's created a issue.
I see. Okay, so on to other infrastructure. Are both these developments are planned to be part of the Chatham sewer system?
Yes.
So there will be wastewaters, there's not gonna be any treatment plants, independent treatment plants associated with either one of these things?
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, both sites, but more specifically the Meeting House Road site, you pointed out at the beginning that there's a huge elevation difference across that lot, and there's a deep hole there. So I look at I'm not really familiar with that site, but I look at a site like that, and there's a chance, a probability that there is either wetland involved or a vernal pool. Has that site been completely cleared in terms of any complications having to do with intruding into wetland areas or other environmentally sensitive areas which would require review and permitting by conservation?
Yes. So there's the wetlands are mapped, so it didn't fall into any map wetlands, but then we did existing condition surveyors, and our surveyor to denote anything visually walking through the site and doing the survey that would potentially, because usually they would mark that up as a potential vernal pool or something. That's what happened in our project in Wareham with the same surveyor. And nothing here. There's actually a lot of stormwater accumulation. You see, like, if you look at the landscape rendering, there's that, looks like a basin almost, and you can see the topographical lines changing. So there's a lot of stormwater flow there, but then it ends up dumping into a different system and draining quickly. And so it's not true vernal pool. It gets wet, and it actually becomes our natural stormwater drainage for the development. So we don't have underground chambers and stuff like that.
But you say it goes into a different system. Is there
Yeah,
a
town.
culvert under the
Yeah.
rail trail there that, and there was just a
Yeah.
bunch of construction going on the south side of the rail trail there. I don't know what they were doing, but is there a flow, stormwater flow down there?
It collects
Trail?
into the Meeting House storm system. So, well, and I don't know what percentage, I know a majority of it just leaches into the ground naturally, but then like an overflow amount at a certain elevation then goes into that overflow pipe. And this is totally out of my area expertise, but this was something the engineers, our civil engineers had looked at and had been questioned about by the town's engineer that they hired for the peer review. So I know that stormwater was not an issue in either of these developments, that they were satisfied with how it was being handled. I don't know the exact specifics of it, but
But you're saying stormwater collects down there, which makes me suspect that there's potentially a wet area, which would trigger concern about whether you're developing on or near wetlands, which would require environmental review from at least local conservation.
So this area is actually current driveway and road that goes right through here that the neighbors had been using.
But there's a very, I mean, you look at the topo, I was just looking at the topo map, and it's like, there's a 15-foot deep hole
Yeah.
there.
Right here.
And you're saying that has been investigated for potential wet soils? There are certain soil tests that are done to determine whether
Yeah,
that's...
geotech.
All that stuff has been done, and it's been determined there's no problem there. And
Yes.
are there any pending reviews by the local conservation commission for that?
No.
Or is that all done and you're past that, the potential for that kind of permitting having to happen?
Exactly, we're past that. The Concom has not been involved because it hadn't been a designated spot, and they haven't, the town hasn't asked them to go do an inspection.
Okay.
Just so you understand, you're speaking to the chair of conservation at this time.
I had a feeling it was something involved.
Just to clarify.
I had this suspicion.
But it is a concern, and so, my other sort of related question, now that I've been outed by our chair here, my other concern is landscaping and your plans for landscaping and whether, I mean, what I would love to see in a project like either of these projects that you're dedicating all of the landscaping to native species and native grasses, not a cultivated lawn, and no fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, any of that. And can you confirm that that is your approach, and the landscape design firm that you have involved in this are going to?
I can confirm that that was our original approach that we pitched to the town. And surprisingly, the town said, no, you need to put irrigation in because we want this to look nice. And so yeah.
It's really up for the Chatham Conservation,
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
not
yeah.
us,
Well,
but.
but
John-
no,
John is
Chatham-
really taking liberty here.
But it was,
Not allowing it.
yeah, it actually got very specific because obviously different board members have different opinions on stuff. And some said, well, we want water restrictions. We don't want using the water. So I think the compromise the board members came to said, you have to put in irrigation, you have to use it, but just for 3 years until everything becomes established.
Oh, well, that's,
All right, yeah,
So that seemed to,
that's different.
to
That's
work for
your
everybody.
recommendations.
That is different.
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
but it was all natural, local, drought resistant, and, which is what we had done in East Ham, Orleans, and,
okay, great.
you know, so, I forgot to add native species.
That's the important part.
And because usually we like that too, we don't like to install irrigation, because there ends up always being problems. And in multifamily, if somebody doesn't blow one of the pipes and clears it in winter, all of a sudden you get a $30,000 water bill because of leaking. So we always try not to do the irrigation. But here, we'll have a couple years of it.
Okay, all right.
One
And that's Main
incentive,
Street.
John.
What's that?
Never mind. Are you all set, sir?
I am, thank you.
Okay. Art?
I just got a couple of questions, but before I start here with my questions, I've been following your projects, because I live in Harwich, but because it's housing, and I've been kind of following this. And believe me, they've been raked over the coals.
Oh, you didn't read today's Chronicle, hopefully,
Well,
the letters to the
I
editor.
mean,
Not yet.
No, you don't need to.
It's all really good
won't
things.
elaborate very much, but Chatham is a tough town to do business in when it comes to housing. And apparently they passed muster. Okay, that out of the way. Traffic, I have to make a comment about traffic. Traffic, and this is a 40B project, right?
Correct.
Oh, correct.
Both of them are, yeah.
You can't block a 40B project because of traffic. Traffic is a separate subject, and the state will step in. The state, that 40B, when you're working with 40B, there's certain parameters, there's certain guardrails, and you can't move the guardrails. And traffic is not inside the guardrails. I mean, we've talked about it with a project just passed zoning board approval, and traffic was a big issue. And everyone had their say, but in the final analysis, it doesn't play into the project at all. So, but that's it. So, and my two little comments here are just, you have to bear with me, because I always bring them up when I look at housing. And you probably have already addressed these, or already been raked over the coals about them. Both these projects are built on slabs, and so consequently, the storage for the tenants is at a minimum. And and I make this same statement all the time, no matter who we are in society, what rung of the ladder we're on, we all have stuff. And the stuff has to go someplace. And to make a site look good, you need to keep your stuff
Not on the
out
side.
of sight.
Mhm.
And with just a little storage bin, that's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah.
And this is what works against you, because now everyone's got barbecues, they got outside chairs, they got lawn furniture. Every kid has at least two bikes. I mean, one that he owns and one that he picked up along the way. And the bikes are gonna just stay right where, when he gets off the bike, and he's just gonna drop the bike on the ground and run in and have dinner. The bike is gonna be there, and if it snows, he'll be there until the snow melts. But,
My yard this
so,
morning.
bike racks, anyone ask you about bike racks?
Yes, yeah, we have bike racks in both. I don't know if they're shown on here,
Well,
but yes, we always include bike racks, usually covered bike racks,
well.
usually by the
you're-
management.
uh,
Not at each building, usually.
Well, okay, in comment. On Meeting House Road, you're right up against a bike path,
Yes.
so every kid, mom and dad, is gonna have a bicycle.
That's great.
That's great, but
Yeah.
It's a lot of trips, so
it's not gonna be very, pleasing. So, yeah, storage, that's always a problem.
Yeah.
And you're gonna need to have rules and regulations about stuff left outside. Otherwise, it's just gonna not look good. That's my comment. So, and I have to give you credit for bringing up that nasty term, regionalization. That's why we're contributing. And each town has been being asked to contribute to the other towns' projects like this. And the state really gives you, the state's been beating this drum, if you haven't heard it, fostering regionalization when it comes to housing. And because what gets built in Chatham also benefits Harwich and vice versa. And so all the way up and down the line. I mean, our towns are right on top of each other. You go in parts of the country, you can drive a day and a half and you won't come to the next town. So it's not a big deal. But here, we're like, we're really neighbors and stuff like that. So anyways, those are my comments.
In very similar communities, it's different than, Andover and Lawrence, or, Dartmouth and New Bedford, that, the towns here are very similar, and they're so small that you have a lot more cross-pollination, I guess, between the towns. You know, one of the other things we didn't mention, because it doesn't make sense here, but with other towns, a lot of the other towns might not have suitable sites for development. And they might have projects for 7, 8, 9 years. And for those ones, it makes a lot of sense too, to contribute, because they'll get the benefits, and they have no other options or no other development opportunities to help fund. I know here, you guys do have the other project, Queen Anne, that we're working on, but that's also another benefit to some of the towns that are contributing, that we're asking for funds from.
Well, I'm assuming all this stuff that you've been, you've been addressing right along, probably multiple times.
Yeah, and that's always the toughest question. Is, why should we do this?
Okay, thank you.
All set, Art?
Yes.
Okay, anything from any of the other board members? Kathy?
Hey, just a quick question. Just left my head.
Reach out and grab it.
Oh, God. I don't remember what it was. Jeez. Okay, I guess we'll forget it.
Okay, anybody else? Any other board members? All right, thank you
Oh,
very.
I remembered.
Wasn't fast.
Yeah, no. Why not approach the affordable housing trusts in the towns for this sort of support versus CPEA funding? I mean, it's
They were
quicker,
the-
it's
actually, yeah.
quicker, doesn't have to go to town meeting,
Mhm.
it's still taxpayer money.
Mhm. That's actually, the seller notes are to the trust funds. The trust funds actually bought the site. It's trust fund owned property.
There, but I'm talking about other towns.
Other towns.
Oh, other towns.
Good idea.
Yes, that is a good idea. I don't know why we
Yeah.
haven't done that.
We still want your money, but
Hey, just a thought, just a thought.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
yeah, we've always only gone to the trust in the town that, I think it's because of Village and Nassau Green, we went to CPCs and it worked, and we just.
It's just that it's such much a longer process, et cetera, et cetera. You can see, we just had like an hour-long discussion, which you guys have probably been through about 50 times already, so, and we're not even the town, we're just an adjunct town.
Yeah, and then there's the FinComs,
Yep.
and then there's the town meeting.
And there's conservation.
Those are the toughest.
All set, Kathy?
Yep.
All right, any other board members? Hearing none, thank you very much for your presentation.
Oh, thank you for your
Thanks for having
time
us.
and your consideration.
Good job.
Is there a way that I can get you to email me these, 2 docs that you just handed out?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, old business, discussion of grant agreements.
No, Mary,
No?
have them.
Moving on,
Well, what?
unless you wanna,
Well, no, I was just gonna say, was the grant agreement distributed to the board for them to look at?
Nope,
no,
Mary's gonna
Okay.
bring.
Mary still hasn't.
What do you mean she still has it? I thought that was done. Okay.
Okay, update on signs. There we
Update on
go.
signs. Okay, well, the only update I had, so I wasn't here last month, but the month before, I was charged with, speaking to Harwich Conservation Trust Executive Director, sort of about maybe zeroing in on a sign that would be appropriate for any properties that we had, been involved with. And, I went to the Coldbrook site and took some pictures, and one of the signs that they had that, was either for, keep your dogs in a leash or no, whatever, was an attractive sort of, it looks like this shape-wise, except it's a nice green. My printer's not working for some reason, but anyway. I talked to Mike about it. It's like an 18 by 18 sign.
I've
It's
seen it.
easily mounted, and it's it's, it kind of blends in with a lot of the conservation stuff, because it's a sign that they use at a lot of their sites. So we talked about whether that would be appropriate to put CPA verbiage on, and he thought yes. So I've actually ordered a sign that says, "Project supported with CPA funds, thank you taxpayers of Harwich." I mean, I had to kind of keep it, brief. And we'll see what you guys think of it. I should have it by next meeting.
So is that a rendering of it?
Yeah, but it's not the right color or anything.
So it has an arch,
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
not an arch.
So, and what we thought was, if we agree to something like that, then we can order X amount of signs that can go to the projects that we have either funded or supported or in some way, and there's probably 5, 6, 7 of them or something like that over the last 10, 12, I don't know how many years. And then we'll move on to a different kind of signage for historic, see, with the with the Harwich Conservation Trust, we don't need to go through the town. Any other signage is gonna have to go through the sign committee in town, and then through the historic sign part also. So we'll deal with that next. We'll just deal with it, we'll come up with something that's more appropriate for historic buildings, like a bronze-type plaque, and it'll be more money, but if we can come up with something that we can use universally, and we can get them to approve it, then we'll do that as our next step.
This is to John. John, is there any type of material in an area? Is there a specific type of material that should be used in a conservation area? Like a wetlands, something like that?
I don't think so. I mean,
I-
just for a sign, I mean, you don't want to avoid using things like, anything with toxins in it, like pressure-treated stuff.
Right, exactly.
But an aluminum sign, the stuff they have,
This is what they have, so I'm
This is what-
assuming that this
that's
is fine.
aluminum
all right.
Right.
with I don't know what the coating is exactly, but it's very robust.
Yes, and it's a coating, that they're coated with, there's a couple levels of coating, but they're coated with something that,
Zinc?
no, it's something that keeps it from fading and wearing out sooner than expected. They've got like a 10-year life expectancy or longer, depending upon where they are exposed to the elements, so.
But it's good because metal is way better than plastic, because plastic will like shed little pieces, and
Mhm.
that's potentially a big problem, and you don't want to do that. So I think the metal signs are the way
The way to go. Can you put your coat on?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
sure,
can.
I'm sure we can.
Right.
I mean, there isn't room on that thing for that,
No,
but I
but
don't know.
we'll talk about that next,
yeah,
in
sure.
terms of probably not necessarily for historic, if we have to do something in bronze, but other, we have
Mhm.
other stuff, so. Small steps.
Questions for Kathy from the board?
That looks good, Kathy, thank you.
Well, this doesn't look good.
Well,
But it looks much better.
I'm visualizing that's
Right,
gonna look
you've
really
seen
good.
them at the Colebrook
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
so,
they're nice.
We'll see.
That's all I was gonna say, I like the little swoosh.
Yeah,
Fancy.
yeah,
Okay,
all right.
moving on. All right. Website application. Update.
Well, there isn't much to update. I did today upload the OS1
Mhm.
application, and had gotten yesterday confirmation from HCT that that was all clear, even though it was sort of obvious
Right.
already. I've been fighting with the website this week because, well, Kathy pointed out to me, Tuesday evening in an email
I
that,
went online, I couldn't get into any of the applications. They-
well,
they
there
were
wasn't
gone.
anything there.
There wasn't
right?
anything there.
And it just disappeared. And I had been on a couple weeks ago updating things. I mean, maybe it was 3 weeks.
So I thought it might be operator error, of course.
Yeah, no. Well, if it was operator error, it wasn't you, it was me, but I couldn't figure out what I could have done to make that go away. It went away, and it was a problem, just because there's something funky about the way that Civics Plus software works.
Okay.
And then today, I was updating all the applications to add on any of the additional
Supplemental, yeah.
supplemental information, and I was uploading the last one of those, and it wouldn't upload, it wouldn't work. And it's like, I finally figured that out, but I'm just saying, there's a problem there. I don't know what the problem is, but
Cody.
let's see. Oh, and the other point is, Jan was just asking me, shouldn't we be putting semi-annual reports up on the website? She was suggesting we had done that in the past. I honestly have no recollection of doing that in the
No, me
past.
neither.
But it's certainly a doable thing. We would, hopefully I wouldn't run into the same provoking issues that I've been seeing this week in setting that up, but we could set that up. We could have a separate page that has, you know, every 6 months, we could upload them all and put them there so they were accessible to everybody. I mean, it's a good idea.
John, wouldn't it be, make more sense to do an end-of-the-year report rather than putting all that extra work on you?
Are you what do you mean by an end-of-the-year report? What is the format? Is it per project, an end-of-the-year report? Or are you thinking just an end-of-the-year CPC report that has all the
Everything concise, condensed? No?
Well, who's gonna do that? That's another project. Jan, can I just ask a question? Jan, are the semi-annual reports, the twice-a-year reporting, are those included with our minutes at all?
Well, we just approved November's,
Right,
and all of the fall will be there.
okay, so if anybody
So-
wants to access them,
They can
But
access them.
sometime- Yes, but sometimes we'll get a update report in May for certain
Right.
projects.
So-
And if I'm Joe, and I don't know what I'm looking for, I'd have to go through every month. So we had done this before, but with this new system, we haven't put it up on this new system. But personally, the system's having problems, it's just me saying, I think it'd be ridiculous to go through this, to try and put them on right now. I didn't realize it was a system coding problem.
I don't know
I
what the
think you're
issue
right. I
is,
think it's what it
honestly. I
is.
don't know what the issue
The
is.
glitch is a glitch.
I mean,
and
my
wouldn't waste
issue's
my time on
unrelated,
it
so
now.
what I want to do is ask the entire board. You all now have your own CPC emails. Are you getting the CPC email that has been coming all along? If Jan sends out something, are you seeing it in that CPC email?
no,
No, because I'm
No.
not using it
not
yet.
using it yet.
He's not using it yet.
I'm waiting for somebody to tell me to use it.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
And I will say
It's,
that when I went to the training session, I gave them your name.
Oh, no, she.
And I said to them, Jan needs to be on, no, I did, I said
Yeah.
Jan needs to be included in this.
Right, I wasn't included before.
Right, so they've got you.
They've
Okay.
got me, I went through the training.
Hold on, for one, just so you all understand, we're all on the same page. I have the original CPC at townofhoward.gov. I have my own email now with my name. Downstairs has linked that email from previous to present. I'm not getting anything.
I haven't gotten one
So-
thing on the new.
No. my understanding is that they haven't released it yet. Yeah, I also have I went through training, such as it was, and I got my new email address. But the caveat was, it's we're not using it yet until we get the okay.
That may be true.
That everyone's been trained and ready to go.
That may be true, but I should be getting the CPC email and I'm not. If they haven't activated the individual ones, I still should be getting my CPC email, and I'm not.
Okay. I have gotten emails in my new email address.
Under Outlook?
Yeah, I
You
have
have?
gotten.
You
I'm
have-
not getting them.
So
Well,
you have a total.
You had,
Well,
I thought you were just showing
I
me you
didn't-
had yours up.
Right.
And
that-
on your phone, you were getting the CPC, and on your computer, you were getting the
I
data.
get it all on, I don't want it on this. It's not supposed to be on this.
So it's working, and you just have to get straight with Sarah. I mean, we almost got there, except it was sending a message to your phone that your phone wasn't getting. And you can have two tabs there, one with your CPC at harwichmass.gov, and the second one with a david.nixon thing there. I've had my Town of Harwich email since they switched over to the new Civics Plus thing, which is when now, a year and a half ago or something? And I was getting very occasional emails on it, but I wasn't paying attention until in conservation, Amy is trying to get us all switched over, and I've been getting emails and corresponding, and when I sent emails to you guys, I copied myself on my new John.Ketchum
I'm
thing.
getting that here, I'm not getting it here. And again,
I think that's a minor problem
this is
that,
downstairs to set this up, so.
I don't,
All right, I was just curious, anybody else was going through the same
But I'm
torture.
still
That's-
giving it, on the emails that I'm sending to everybody, I'm still using everybody's old one, not
Old
their
one.
new one.
Yeah,
So
Okay,
you all will tell me when I switch,
okay.
when I should switch, right?
well,
you can start using my new email now. I would
Okay.
prefer if you did that.
Anybody else?
Use mine too.
I forget what mine is.
Oh, I have everybody's
Well,
email.
that was a question I had for
I
you,
know.
because I saw a
And I gotta look-
Kathy.Green
I know.
and a Catherine.Green.
I know, I gotta look it up, because I can't
Or
remember.
maybe,
Tell you what it is?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Here's the,
it might be both. Could
Oh,
you
No, I
possibly
hope
have,
it's not both, no.
is there another,
We're losing in the translation
Yeah.
here.
this is all the
Oh,
town.
okay,
So
great.
let's get to the CPC.
Oh, thank you.
You got
Okay.
the master
It
copy.
is
Keep going.
Kathy.Green.
Ah,
oh, it is
no.
Kathy.
No.
Oh,
She
Oh.
thinks she can
You
keep,
can't keep that.
No, no, I'm
Kathy.
not keeping it.
No, no, look it up though.
she,
What do you mean, look it up?
Look up CPC and
I
see
did,
what
right
it-
here.
Oh, it's on the first page.
Yeah,
Okay.
There you go, yep. Oh, wait, let me look up Rios to make sure it's not two different ones. No, because that's what they set me up for.
Oh,
oh,
that'd be
maybe you're
horrible.
Catherine Green on
I
Rios.
hope not.
Well, then you have to have two funnel
That
it
would
out.
be funny.
Yeah, I know, that would
You
be
never know
terrible.
which one's
Okay.
which committee when it gives you
Okay.
all right. Social media,
Nope, Kathy.Green.
you overlooked
you.
them.
All right, that's what it is.
Okay.
I did. Yes, I did. All right, we all set with that? Emily, you're up.
No huge update from me. I sent Cindy a couple things, and I haven't had a ton of time, but I'm gonna try to get a bunch of posts ready to go for 2026 and just get them to her to go.
Okay, any,
One question on that, just thinking ahead. Do we want to do any awareness of what we currently have, like going into town meeting? Do we want to be specific about directing people to learn more about the projects that we're putting up? Do we think that's a good idea for approval or not?
I think for, can I speak to that?
mhm.
I think for whatever once we deliberate and, decide what we're gonna put forth, I think, yeah, advertising that people should educate themselves on these projects and they should call whomever to get, further information would be great.
Perfect. That's what I was thinking. Some content together and I can work with Cindy to get that out, because I think it's a good idea ahead of, like, try to build some momentum and, again, awareness and understanding ahead of town meeting. Great.
Anything else? John?
We didn't really resolve the business about whether we're putting semi-annual reports up on the website. I am game to go ahead and get that set up. If the things are working, it's not a big deal.
I don't think it's necessary. I think if people can access the minutes, they can access the reports.
So, another just approach to that is to just put a notice on the front page of our webpage saying semi-annual reports are available on minutes. Please go see the minutes.
If you
Or-
want, has anybody called you about the semi-annual
No
reports?
one has ever
Anybody
called
called
me.
you about the semi-annual reports, Jan?
Nobody calls
Or-
me ever.
Dave, anybody call you about the semi-annual
Okay,
reports?
okay.
I don't think they're a big
There'll be
seller.
one tomorrow, but
Point taken. I'm not gonna spend
No,
my
I was
time
trying, I
doing
don't wanna
it.
make work for any, I don't think
Yeah, I
it's
don't-
necessary.
that's what we're trying to do, John, is,
Yeah, no, you're right.
Make work.
That's good.
okay. Does anybody want anything on the next agenda? Anything I can think of on the next agenda? Okay, and that meeting is when?
Next Thursday,
Next Thursday, and we'll have a full house.
What's the date?
the 11th,
Mary?
December.
Okay, I'll be in contact with Mary. The only other thing I have to say is this. We have a new finance director. I haven't been in touch with the new finance director yet, asking her to give us some kind of guidance of what we're gonna have for monies. I think we pretty much know what they are, but as I've said time and time again, we are not the finance director of the town of Harwich. So I will put that request in. I don't think it's gonna be next week. I'll make the request and see what happens.
How long has the new finance director been on the
I
job?
think she either started the 1st or the 3rd of this month.
Oh, this week. Yesterday.
Poor
I
thing.
see.
But I had a chat with the finance director before, maybe a month ago, a month and a half ago. She was doing backup work for subcontracting, so,
All right.
anyway, hopefully it all works out. We'll
January
see.
8th would be our next scheduled meeting after this
These
month.
come up so
Okay, is
fast.
everybody gonna be able to make that,
January 8th?
January 8th?
Isn't know what we're doing in January already? Jeez. If it's our regularly scheduled meeting, we got it on the schedule.
February
Okay.
12th might be vote day, not January. So both those dates are our regular.
Yeah,
Just keep it as it is,
keep it as it is.
all right? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, folks.